This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The following will contain strong language, adult themes, and your girl, Mara. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. On with the show!
Hi, we saying it's Nelle.
Hi guys, what's goody? It's Tammie.
Hey, it's your girl, Mara, and this is your motherfucking favourite podcast, the NTM podcast. If you know, you know.
You see why she's in
You
the
know,
disclaimer.
like, I don't even know how to do this with you.
Oh my god.
Welcome back.
Little jingle.
Hi.
Hey, y'all.
What? I didn't know what to say. Hi.
Hi guys. So I've come with a very important message to make you guys aware of something that I don't know if you know, but I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
It's really serious. So like, I know this is topic one, but like, you need to stop smiling and stuff. Why are you laughing?
You know what? I'm actually gonna keep smiling.
Because
It's
why are
really
you
serious.
deleting my smile?
Okay, guys. It's come to my attention that this podcast has been conforming to a certain type of stereotype, a negative one at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Un, deux, trois.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Apparently, the fact that we are a trio essentially destabilizes the whole foundation of our friendship. Now, you know, we put ourselves out there in the public eye, so I expect a level of discourse around things. But there's a very well-known saying, two is company, three's a crowd. What's everyone's beef with trios?
Girl.
What's your personal beef with trios?
Hey.
In the room?
Me?
In the room?
I've
What?
never had
What?
beef with
What?
trios.
Is this a roll
There's
call
been
chat?
reservations
Sorry.
about trios. Everyone has them.
I actually have never.
Okay, what's the beef then?
The
Talk
beef.
to me. Speak. Unleash.
You know, the Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland. Speak!
Cut off her head.
People's beef with trios. I would say, just from my personal understanding
Okay,
of
go
it,
for it.
people see trios as being unbalanced
Yeah.
because
It is odd number.
in general, if we think about society's understanding of friendships, people like to have one person that they can be paired with that's their person. And so the idea of another person being added into the mix gives people the suggestion that person, there's always going to be one person who's left out or isn't as fully incorporated in the group as the two others.
Yeah.
Like the mains and the spare.
That's true. Where it comes.
I think from what I've observed, like to actually go to your question and answer what is people's beef with trios, I think like my first thought does come to projection. I think there's a three-pronged approach to this projection. Three-pronged. I love a multi-step plan. Yeah.
Tres.
Oh, is it a multilingual episode? Sorry, did I miss something?
I can't speak another language.
Honestly, go ahead though.
Oh no! I wasn't volunteering myself as tribute. No, let me get into it. So I think one of them comes down to you might have been in a 3-person dynamic previously, and whilst I don't believe in like absolute situations when it comes to conflict or absolute perspectives, I think leaving that situation and feeling like a victim of your 3-person dynamic and going into discourse about it or future relationships, you still have a chip on your shoulder. I think one of them also is potentially looking at, well, when people are discussing this, it is a discourse that involves a lot of people inheriting other people's lived experiences about trios and taking that as an absolute statement for trios, swear off them. And I think the third one is kind of going back to the first approach that I spoke about, is actually not wanting to reflect on how your behavior in a 3-person dynamic may have led to that friendship probably breaking down. And you just refuse to maybe introspect a little bit. And so you're just like, listen, 3-person dynamics are the problem. And that's where the buck stops.
Maybe it's you.
You know what?
So,
I think,
you know,
I think because when I was thinking about this, I think because when I was thinking about this, I know we're trio, but I've been in trio friendship dynamics before.
Yeah.
Not that I've consciously actually thought, oh, this friendship
is a
is
trio.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't have that thought because I was friends individually with every person within that group. It wasn't like a whole, this person introduced me and now we're hanging out, but the only commonality we have is this one friend.
Right.
I think that's the thing, because I keep seeing TikToks about this thing where, no, it's actually so bad, man. So there's like a TikTok made with two friends and they're like, when you finally ditch the girl who introduced you to.
Yeah.
And it's like a kiki, kaha, kako.
So rude.
So nasty and so rude.
Guys.
But then again, there is that they only had the commonality of that friend. So that I think that's different because we all met each other, developed friendships
separately and individually from one another.
Yeah.
I'll be real with you, man. I can't tell you how these two became friends.
How did we I don't know. I was really perplexed. Wait, I don't actually know how we became friends.
I know how I developed my friendship with you.
Yeah.
And you. But not how you
But I
know.
I do think the bridging aspect is when like I was hosting something and then you asked if you could bring Mara. I think without that, I don't know how many times we would have crossed paths.
Yeah. But also I was not integral to the development of your friendship. Yeah. I was just there
for like an actual conscious period.
To be honest, if I'd never asked if Mara could come to that event you were hosting, you would have met Mara elsewhere because you had.
Yeah, you had already met me. You just didn't remember. You were drunk.
Yeah.
Why did you tell them that?
No, because even us,
I didn't even remember when I properly like met Nelle the first
time. Even us, because first year everyone's adding each other on Snapchat. Yeah, you do forget who you have on that phone.
Yeah, like I already had you on socials.
Yeah,
really.
But I couldn't put a face to a name until I saw you in the street.
Most ironic thing. Can we tell the story?
Crazy.
Okay,
tell the story.
You were hosting. I can say what the event was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tammie was amazingly, actually, especially in that era of our lives. Yeah. Tammie hosted a Black Girls Prees. It was our first year. Like we were fresh into uni. Like we didn't know each other properly at all.
Yeah.
And I just like started to connect with you, Mara. Like in terms of like we were talking a bit more.
I cornered her basically.
That was straight after Mara cornered me in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But technically, I cornered her back. We were testing each other. Long story. On the way back, I was like, oh, I know somebody who's doing like a little Black Girl Freeze. But I was like, I kind of want to invite Mara. So I did that before I met up with you. Messaged Tammie to be like, is it okay?
Okay. I didn't know the backstory to like your side of it. Yeah.
So I messaged you like, is it okay if I invite my friend Mara? Why am I speaking like this?
You get shy.
And then on the way back, we're talking about the thing, like when are we gonna go? Like we're just talking.
And I'm trying to be like,
who is Tammie? Who is Tammie? And like as soon as you ask me who is Tammie, I'm like, oh, Tammie's there. Tammie was like coming towards us.
I have things to do.
She's a busy girl. And so I was like, yeah, and that's how. And I think it was Black Girl Prees that allowed us to individually set up our
friendship. Because I remember walking with Tammie on our. We was in the queue on our like kind of.
Yeah.
Because I have videos from us just being in the queue.
Yeah. Shout out to Snapchat memories.
Snapchat. Oh god.
R.I.P. man.
But then we have our own.
Yeah. I think it is weird though that before we did develop like a collective relationship, we gravitated towards each other like quite weirdly, like even in larger group settings, like you guys would respectively like do things that would involve other people, and obviously you're doing your thing, you're socializing with everyone, but like when people start to break off as you do, we just tended to like gravitate towards each other.
It was just I don't know.
Our trio is a trio, but I think the most important thing is we have established and developed relationships with each other individually and collectively that is nurtured.
But you highlight something really important there. Like in a way we chose each other. And I think that's really important because now you did a TikTok not too long ago. Shout out at the NTM podcast on TikTok. You know, a plug on Instagram. But and it talked about being chosen in your friendships. And I think what's interesting when you talk about an imbalance, like earlier before, especially in this era now of like content, social media content that wants to talk about, you know, championing self and, you know, making sure that you consider your own worth. I think the idea of a trio or a relationship that could be potentially imbalanced, you know, threatens that idea of worth and security for people. So rather than actually looking beyond saying like, okay, well, that's other people's maybe experience, but not mine, or could not be mine. It's just very much you're reluctant to step into something that is uncertain how it will pan out, like any friendship. And so, yeah, it kind of comes down to, when I listen to a lot of people's opinions, like fear of not being chosen, rejected, and that can come back from friendships that weren't even trios. That can happen in any relationship. And the thing that I want to really, really highlight here is a number is an excuse to me. I say this because some of you need to also realize that you weren't compatible with your friends.
Some of it was proximity.
Yeah.
That whether it's 6 people, 9 people, which is a crazy number, just for me personally, or 2, sometimes you are not compatible with the people.
Yeah.
And there can be coincidences where it's like, okay, we were in a group dynamic, maybe an odd number dynamic, or specifically a trio, but it's not the trio that was the reason that the relationship dissolved. And that's important to understand.
Yeah, it's true. We say that, you know, if we met each other in younger versions of ourselves, we may not be compatible.
You know?
We weren't.
You know, like, let's be real.
We met each other at the right time, at the right place, when we were all ready to give what we could to the situation. What I will say is, forget about the number.
Yeah.
Forget about how many people there are. Go where you are loved and where you can love. And I think that can love is just as important as are loved.
Yes.
Go to where people appreciate you and you appreciate them. Like, let's have some mutually beneficial relationships where you can pour into one another.
Share your joy.
Yeah, we have a mutually beneficial relationship, okay? We give love, we take love, source shared violence, big cuddly toy. Like, essentially, leave us alone. Fuck off.
No, because also I have a bone to pick with some people.
No, it's true, isn't it?
Because now it's
Who's
about to get real personal.
Who's getting aired out today?
Get real personal.
Talk on it.
We are 3 young adults. We don't live together. We don't even live in the same city anymore.
Oh, sad.
We haven't for a while, actually.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you see TikToks with just the 2 of us in them, and the other person isn't in it, we are still friends, dummy. It's just that circumstance means that we aren't always going to be around each other all the time.
Why are you gasping and looking at me?
Literally, like, use your common sense. Because your fear, your insecurities are wrapping you and holding you tight and pinning you down. You want to pin us down?
Oh.
And
let's stop that.
That's loaded.
And that's why I said I feel like the overarching theme here is projection. And the only way I feel like to get around that is to introspect. You have to go through.
Because you know what? After giving that little rant, I do like you guys.
Bring it back down.
Like it strong. What I will say is, I've been in a place where I've let my insecurities project into this friendship, individually and collectively.
Yeah.
And I think once you're in a supportive environment, you can see those insecurities and be like, ooh, okay, I've clocked it. How can I, within myself, work on it, but also share that with others to get to a better place?
Yeah.
Having the insecurities isn't the problem. Is not seeing it and not willing to work on it. That is.
Yes.
We gotta learn how to self-regulate people. Essentially, what we're saying is, we can beef amongst ourselves. We do. Okay? We do. Every day. But don't beef us, because we all will come for you.
And that's that.
Child of destiny, independent woman. Charlie's Angels.
I want to be Lucy Lee.
Cameron Diaz.
How you would never?
Well, fuck me. There's only one
person
on
the table. What you knew was on the table.
Hey guys, it's me back for another promo break. Now, it's season 5 of this podcast, so if you're still not following us on Instagram at the NTM Pod and on TikTok at the NTM Podcast, then I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, but you need to get a few screws screwed on real tight. Okay? And while you're at it, can you give us a little 5-star review? I know in the previous episode, Tammie said any type of 5-star or don't even bother to type. Thank you. Next, on with the show. Don't look at me. Next! Okay, keeping on the same topic. I feel like we ate with these pairings this season. I'm so sorry. It's just so seamless segues. That's a seamless segues.
You know.
Seamless segues. No, honestly, because of that. We're known for that. Anyway, so we definitely just spoke about, that there's deeper rooted issues to why a friendship dynamic is scrutinized or falls apart, or just you have your own issues about it. Okay? I would like to suggest, I'm not saying it's fact, I would like to suggest that a lot of these deep-rooted issues come down to the fact that a lot of people are in secret competitions with their friends and their peers. Do you agree? And if you do, why are people competing with their friends? It's heavy. It's loaded. I don't know who wants to go first.
I feel like...
All right, Tam's taking it. Tam's taking it.
You know what? Let me just put myself up to the mic. On your first question, do I believe people are secretly competing with their friends? I mean, I don't have a statistic to give you in terms of how often that is happening.
True.
But I would say that you could observe a lot more people than you think secretly competing with their friends. Why they do it is an interesting thing. I think there is a distinction between healthy and unhealthy competition. And I think the word competition has its connotations already. So when I say healthy competition, it does sound like, listen, these are two opposite things. But I do believe that there is a level of healthy competition that can occur within certain dynamics. I think it's in our nature anyway, as humans, to compete. So I do think that's why we just see a competition naturally occurring. I think the reason why it looks off in a friendship space or doesn't seem appropriate is because friendships are meant to be comfort spaces, safe spaces, where you support and motivate, the people around you. And I do think within a level of healthy competition, that is still possible, motivating your friends, encouraging them in ways that you can. I do think the unhealthy competition potentially stems from something we talked about earlier, insecurity. And it's never about being... It's in friendships, there's a lot of interest in having a shared identity with your friends, being equal. And if you feel like you can never be their equal, which is understandable because we're all different, it's just about not being worse than them. I think that makes a person reflect a lot more harshly on themselves. So the inverse is to compete and to do better than them. But the thing is, to me, that is an unwinnable race. Though you will never be satisfied when competing with people. Especially your friends, and I just don't think it's appropriate there. But if that even answered your question, I do think it does happen. Why they do it, I think it comes down to a level of self-comparison that already occurs within themselves, and maybe a level of insecurity potentially.
Okay. Now, do you have anything? Your first initial thoughts?
Okay. I would say I don't understand it, because to compete means that you are not friends. And I know that's ironically a really binary way of thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
But competition suggests that you are striving for the same thing, the same end goal. That is incredibly hard to do as individuals with their own passions,
Yeah.
own thoughts. Like, we have this podcast together, but our end goals are very, very different.
Yeah.
There's some overlap, but we're not the same. Do you know what I mean? We also have a little friend called Fatima. Fatima's around. Like, she helps us.
Is she?
She... What, so now you're questioning the existence of Fatima?
Oh, no. Fatima is real.
But...
She actually helps out. How do you think we set up this whole thing?
Yeah, but Fatima, let's take Fatima for example.
Okay.
Fatima's helping us set up, but she's not in competition with us just because she's not in front of the camera and that she's not on the mic. Do you see what I mean? I just wonder why you feel the need to have the same end goal as the person sitting next to you, let alone your friend who you're supposed to be cheering alongside their race. Like, why do you need
That's the thing.
Why are you saddling up next to them when the seat in the stand is there for you?
Do you, picking up on something that Tammie said earlier, do you think seeking competition amongst friends is a trait of an individual or something that we have been socialized and conditioned to be like?
Both.
Okay.
There's some people who are innately competitive and some people who are nurtured, like the nature versus nurture kind of thing.
Yeah.
People who are nurtured by the environment to be competitive. And I think sitting on this table, like, which we've come from, you know, different backgrounds and like different environments as well. And I think sometimes, like, if I look into my own, like school, for example, school was there to nurture me to be incredibly competitive with people. But I also recognize that I can sometimes be personally competitive.
But you know, it's weird.
What?
Even if I'm competing against a friend, I'm not going to be competitive. Competing, to me, the act of competing is kind of unavoidable in a sense.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the same arena, let's use that analogy, then you're going to be competing against each other. But to be competitive, to have that sense of I'm going to beat you.
Because that's the underbelly of being competitive. You want to win, so you're ready to step on anybody to get to where you need to be.
Yeah. To be competitive, and not in an inherently negative way. I don't think that's a negative
I wanted
thing
to say, I feel like
to do
a neutral strand, but I do understand where you're coming from.
I don't think it's neutral, but I don't think it's necessarily negative.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? To be neutral is to be kind of passive.
To be competitive, you have to be very active.
You have to be active, but it's not in a I want to see you down. It's more I want to see me up.
Yeah. Okay, that's
more
so what my sentiment would be.
It's weird amongst friends because inevitably to see you up, someone's got to be down.
And to be competitive is to not necessarily revel in that, but to understand that.
Yeah.
So why are you competitive against your friends?
Can it ever be healthy? Personally, I don't think so. But
what do you think? Because you did say that there's healthy competition.
Yeah, you were on that stance. So
I'm saying that there is a distinction. Whilst I don't encourage competing with your friends. Listen, I just think it does undermine the space that you're trying to create with your friends. And but I do acknowledge that there are instances where rather than, and this is the thing I have to unpack, because there is a level of intentionality behind competing with other people. And so it would probably be amiss to say like, sometimes you can both have the same goals and naturally be in the same space, and that would put you in a position of competing. But you do not have to take it upon yourself to be competitive with that person. But I do think, just in general, that there is that distinction between a healthy competition and an unhealthy competition. I just think that when there are already existing problems, maybe potentially within the friendship or within the person themselves, I think it exacerbates that need to compete with people. There are some things that on their own, listen, I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they can become really damaging within a space with something that's already pre-existing.
Yeah. A thought just popped into my mind. It's not fully fleshed out. But isn't it kind of inherently selfish to be competitive with your friends? Hear me out. In the sense that to be competitive with someone is to see that person in relation to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is the kind of space that they exist.
Yeah.
They exist for you to compete with.
Mm-hmm.
That person, your friend, has their own set of their life is their own. They are their own person. They do not exist to be a source of competition for you.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So it's a bit selfish to see your friend and get competitive over a situation that they may or may not be feeding into, because it could be two ways, it could be one way, right?
Okay.
It's a bit selfish to see them in that entity and not as a fully fleshed out human being and person with their own thoughts, minds, wants, needs.
No, I agree with that statement, and I was trying to say when the question was first opened up that in some friendships there's this desire for similarity, the desire for having a shared identity with the person. And like when we talked about like earlier with the whole kind of group dynamics and the idea of imbalance, I think reflecting on the fact that you have differences can sometimes be quite, what's the word I would use, for lack of a better word right now, maybe crippling for some people. But you are right. You are individuals within that relationship. You have, like you mentioned, individual wants, desires, feelings, and a lot of things that make you up. And I would probably need to think about it more, but I could see that it is actually selfish. I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Question. So beneath a competitive person or somebody who desires to compete with their friends, does it boil down to that person doesn't have a stable identity within themselves? Because why yearn for a shared identity when you have...
It can be a thread. But I can't assert that for like absolutely everyone. But I would say that can be a component for some people why they might be prone to compete with other people, because when you compete and you win, there is a level of gratification and validation for winning, something that bolsters up what would, your sense of self. Watch Inside Out 2 when the strands of self were forming, and that was based on the achievements, the experiences that she could actually come back and say, this is what proves I am this person. This is, and in the frame of being competitive, this is what proves I am a winner. I have competed and won.
But how do you win against your friend?
Well,
I said it's an unwinnable race, because I don't think that there's you can't satiate that desire.
But I think it's difficult because, right, I think that you can be jealous of a friend, but that's just a reaction. But envy is also a reaction too.
Inside Out,
it's a reaction.
Admiration.
There are some things that are reaction to some of the things that your friend is doing, is gonna get. Like you are reacting to that envy, happiness, joy. What are the rest of the Inside Out lot?
Ennui. I love ennui.
But like you get reactions from them. Competitiveness is an action.
You have to be sustained in that.
Which is what I think the distinction is. You can have negative feelings and thoughts towards your friends. That is normal. Because that's a reaction to something.
But acting on it.
But acting on that in a way that I would say is in the thread of competitiveness feels a little bit bad.
It does, because I'm like, everybody has moments of jealousy, envy, whatever towards your friend, but you recognize it, you self-regulate, you come back.
That's what you could ideally do. I'm not sure everyone is doing that.
You self-regulate, you come back and like, oh, okay, I can think about it with a clearer mind. To then just wake up one day and be like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna X, Y, Z. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like, personally, I haven't even stated this strongly, I feel like if you compete with your friends, you're bad mind.
You know what scared me more with the question you asked? They're secretly competing.
Because
that was the distinction for me, that I was like, that one is more insidious. It's both, listen, I'm not here to say that both are not, there's one that's better than the other, but I said that
it manifests in different ways, and it manifests differently with, different genders.
Oh,
because if we want to get down to it, we're not limiting this to women.
Sprinkle.
Oh,
because men.
Can I say something?
Speak on it.
Can I say? A lot of you guys are not friends.
Please.
Oh my
You're monitoring each other. What happened to money bills and monitoring spirits? Hey,
run that back.
Run that back.
Because a lot of them man are monitoring spirits. They're competing with each other. Yeah. But you know what?
They're sticking around.
It's not even secret. They just don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah. It's ignorance on both sides.
Oh, because they don't know what friendship looks like.
Oops.
Oh gosh, that's that.
Nuance.
No, can we be so for real? I feel like we might need to have like introducing to the curriculum.
A part two.
But a part two to this, but introducing to the national curriculum. Okay. How to identify whether somebody is a friend or not.
But I think, but this is the thing. I also say like, whilst yes, I do think through a lot more emotional education or psychoeducation, this should be taught. I also think people need to also be willing to learn this for themselves as well.
Do you know it's and I say this right, and I want to make this clear. If you are 18 and under, okay, you'll learn with time.
Yeah, grace.
Yeah,
that's one thing that you.
Well, actually, you get grace, maybe not pass.
Everyone gets grace.
Yeah,
everyone.
Grace is the word. A pass. Oh, depending on what you've done.
I can give people who are young and in their fundamental years a sort of pass in that sense. Yeah. Because you have to be kind of told. Like there are some friends that I had that my auntie had to be like realistically like, no.
Yeah.
But
like,
you.
No, but they're so nice and whatnot, and I'm gonna invite them over to the house, and I don't understand. And then
you know you're on your head of years.
Are you okay?
For the whole year.
What?
You know, people are telling you that person's saying stuff about you behind your back.
No, and when you learn that lesson, because they say those that do not hear will feel.
Oh. And no, but in the sense. Oh my gosh, I nearly sounded like Kamala Harris. I was thinking in the context of everything around it.
A coconut tree?
No, but you're able to look back. I'm able to look back on those experiences where I just did not know. Yeah. And be like, okay, I can extrapolate, not project. Difference. But I can take that and be like, okay, here are some of the signs. Yeah. That maybe a person just doesn't like me. Yeah. Even if they say they are my friend. Even if they believe they're my friend.
That's the thing. Some people don't even know themselves. What I say secret competition, sometimes it's a secret from themselves.
Exactly.
And what do you do with that?
It's scary out here.
What do you do with that? Honestly.
Run? Hold on. No, but 18 and over, you know that level of grace, that grace meter? 0.
Oh, I will always give grace.
Yeah, my grace is not dependent on age. It is a case by case thing. Yeah, but
that's nice.
But still, I do think the way that I view it, how we pointed out, like between like when you're a minor, basically. I'm not gonna talk about ages for goodness sake. When you're, I was exhausting myself thinking of the numbers. when you're a minor or like about 20 or something. My thing is, there's a level of teaching that I'm expecting to happen. And a lot of you guys have been inadequately taught things in your life. But like I said, at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, what am I going to learn from this point?
I think for me, where grace is given is if it's a one-time thing, no matter what age, fine. Yeah. But if there's an established pattern and it happens again and again and again and again and again and again,
what do you want me to do about it?
And you at one point are not going to take accountability for your role in it.
That's the thing.
Then that's when my grace starts to weaken, and I'm just really like, okay,
we're done.
On you go.
The third time, second for me, but normally for others, third time. Then it's like, I'm kind of sitting here like,
where do we go from here?
Because I ain't going nowhere no more.
What did I say to you the other day now? I said, I cannot take Panadol for someone else's headache. I can't. And that's not saying that, depending on the relationship, I don't want the best for you. See, for me, a friend is a friend. Like, depending on the situation, like, I can still care about you because I've invested time in our friendship. But I don't need to subject myself to that again.
Well, there you go.
That's it. That's all.
What was the original question?
we covered that and more.
well, not we personally, but why do people compete with their friends?
Because can I be real? Yeah. I've competed with friends. Then I had to realise that I don't want them to be my friend.
Yeah. So if I'm in competition with you, you're not my friend.
And the definition of friend does change as you get older, because I mean, when you're in school, we've actually acknowledged that some of you are, or in your experience, can be friends by proximity.
Yeah.
But when you get to start choosing your friends, and then you also choose to compete with
that's
them.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Because in school, I can understand.
You're in that environment.
You're forced to be in that environment. But when you choose your friends, listen, after you leave like sixth form and your last point of education, wherever, once you choose your friends and you choose that relationship and you choose to foster that environment for and then you still decide to bad mind. That's what bad mind.
The moral of the story is, if you feel like you need to compete with your friends, first look inwards.
Introspection.
Look at what you're doing, hold yourself accountable, and then hold your environment accountable.
Look at your friends because maybe they're not true friends.
It's not to be self-flagellant. That is something that I really want to have in, because when you're having these moments, we're sitting here because we want to express that we are not perfect. We've all said that we've had times where we've done things like this and we've had to learn from it and look within ourselves. But you can't be hypercritical on yourself or self-flagellant, because you actually won't be able to actually take the actual facts from the situation and apply it to action that needs to follow.
Yeah,
because you'll be just wallowing in self-pity, and darling, that's not gonna move on. You've
got to stand up for yourself as well.
But let's have this chat in another 10 years. See what we say about it then. Because we might change our minds.
We might change our minds next week. You might see a few stitches.
What's happening next week?
No, but we are ever evolving. Like, we're only 21, guys.
I wouldn't change my mind on what we said in the previous two.
Yeah. We're fickle. But we're not at the same time.
Yeah. There's some things that we're not fickle on.
Just take what you want.
But you know what I mean? You can't predict us. Just listen, and it's fine.
Take all we've said, wrap it up. I can't speak.
It's wrapped.
Hi.
Okay, party people, I've been Nelle.
I've been Tammie.
I've been Mara, and Fact is over there in the corner.
Hey, Fatima.
Podcast. If you didn't know before,
you know now.
Child of NTM, independent beauty. No one else takes care of me. NTM.
Dum 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 dum.
Question, tell me what you think about me. I buy my own diamonds and I buy my own rings. Only ring your celly when I'm feeling lonely. When it's all over. Question, tell me how you feel about this. Try to control me, boy, you get dismissed. Pay my own condo and I pay my own bills. Always in relationships.
What shoes on my feet? She bought
the clothes I'm wearing.
She bought
the rock I'm rocking.
She bought
cause that depends on me. The watch I'm wearing,
she bought it.
The house I live in,
she bought it.
The car I'm driving,
she bought it.
All depends on me. All the women who independent, throw your hands up at me. All the honeys who making money, throw your hands up at me. All the mamas who profit dollars, throw your hands up at me. All the ladies that truly feel me, throw your hands up at me. Now, with my girl Tammie, Mara, and NTM with Charlie's Angels. Come on,
NTM, NTM, NTM.
Serious.
NTM.
Serious.
Who we are now.
NTM.
Serious.
Now.
Serious.
NTM.
Tammie.
Serious.
NTM.
Serious.
Mara,
Serious.
we are
And
the Fatima.
Hey.
And Fatima. Shout out to Fats. Fats. She been there since day one. She part of NTM too.